with my mother changed because of hijab. But like, it makes me feel so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a constant reminder for me, you know, this is what I'm here for and this is what I'm about. And I'm not somebody to be looked at or to be objectified. I'm an intelligent human being who deserves to be taken as like a serious person. And so it's not just putting a scarf on my head every day and leaving for school. It's, you know, my behavior and how I conduct myself with other people and how I respect other people. Because ultimately, whether we like it or not, women who wear hijab, we're the face of Islam. And it is a lot of responsibility, but alhamdulillah, it's a blessing because it forces us to be better people, to be better women, to obtain knowledge and seek it out because, you know, people are going to ask you, why do you wear that cloth on your head? And I love telling people, hijab is not just a scarf. It's not. It's behavior. It's your akhlaq. It's your inner person. It's who you are is hijab, not just this covering. This is just a part of it, a part of the physical part of hijab. So when I decided to revert, I had decided ahead of time before I actually did the reversion that I was going to revert. It was difficult for me because I don't have support. My family is very Christian, and so the information that they have is, unfortunately, they have misinformation, only what they've seen. And so when I decided to revert, it was a very spiritual experience for me. It was very beautiful for me. And the only people I told were a few friends, my mother and my sister. And alhamdulillah, like my mom and my sister were very, very supportive of me converting or reverting to Islam. They were very supportive. So it wasn't a big deal, but unfortunately I haven't been able to tell my father or my grandparents or my aunts and uncles because there's such a negative stereotype in my family about the religion. So I've chosen to give it some more time and introduce certain things. So like my father would know when I was fasting for Ramadan, but it wasn't kind of like, Dad, I'm Muslim now, right? So when I engage in dialogue with my parents about religion, I will purposely try and bring up things about Islam. And I told my dad at one point that I'm studying Islam. So inshallah, one day I'll have the courage to be able to be completely like, this is who I am. But it's very difficult because I don't want to cause family problems between my parents or anybody else, or, you know, have any of my other extended family say anything bad to my parents because of a choice I've made. So it's not really common knowledge with everyone except for my mom and my sister. My mom was very supportive of everything except for hijab. And alhamdulillah, she's come around in that she says she doesn't agree with it, but you know, she's not embarrassed to be seen with me. So that's, for me, is good enough. I can understand where she's coming from. Yeah. I think the hardest thing for me about being a Muslim was the social aspect of it. Especially when I put on hijab, because you can no longer participate in activities before you thought were okay. So you can't go to certain places and you can't participate in certain events. Like, for example, one of my friends, like a friend I had for 20 years, she had a child and had a baby shower for her child, which had, like, she had a party at her house, but they had alcohol. So I couldn't go, and explaining that caused a rift in our friendship, right? So that was difficult for me, but not going to certain like movies or listening to music in my car anymore. Just these little habits that I formed throughout, you know, throughout many years, being more conscious of it. But alhamdulillah, like, it's been an okay adjustment, right? Because you have to keep in mind the bigger picture of like, this is all for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of the day. So I can stop listening to music. It's, how can I stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on like Judgment Day and be like, no, I had to listen to this song? Like, it's just such a minor thing at that point in time. So, you know, I had some problems with the social aspect, but you learn to make new friends and you learn to, you know, you go to the mosque more and you socialize there and you start hanging out with people who are more like-minded, and you extend, you know, yourself out and you make yourself vulnerable to people who have the same faith, even though it's difficult because it's foreign territory, right? So I think that was probably the most challenging for me. And sometimes, you know, hijab obviously is challenging. It's not that I care about my hair. It's just being in public, and especially when I have to go out alone. I get scared sometimes, you know, especially with some of the reaction that some women meet, and that can be challenging. But alhamdulillah, so far, you know, I've been just kind of trucking along. My first year after reversion, I'm pretty ashamed of. Like, after I reverted, I didn't do anything really. Like, I did fast for Ramadan, and I read Quran during Ramadan, but that was the extent of me practicing my faith. And for me, like, I've had a difficult upbringing, so I've had a rocky relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for me, it wasn't like as simple as I reverted now and I can do everything like I'm supposed to do. It was a process for me, because at the core of it, I had to make sure that I had a healthy relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that would help me practice my religion the way I'm supposed to. And that took a lot of time for me, because I had a lot of things to work through. And so it wasn't good. I didn't go to lectures, and I didn't attend any like Muslim events. I didn't reach out to any other sisters. Like, I was still pretty much living my Western lifestyle, but I would fast, and I wasn't like doing anything else. But I would just, you know, I wasn't praying, and I wasn't being good. 2 years ago, summer of 2014, during Ramadan that year, a very difficult time in my life, and I was sitting there and just having a conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm like, what should I do? Like, what do I need to do here to get my life in a better way? And instantly in my head, start your salah, start praying. And that day I started praying. And so I just learned how to pray. And, you know, like, alhamdulillah, it was really easy, because I don't speak Arabic. And so I was able to learn how to pray and which surahs to read during prayer within like a week. So now it's just like, if I don't pray, I'm like, something's missing. You know, it's not a question of should I go pray. It's like, no, I have to go pray right now, kind of thing. But now it's like, when you get to this place where you want to be a better Muslim, you get involved in your community. Like, I try and attend every single English lecture that I can go to, and if I know somebody that I know from the community is going to be there, like a sister who can translate for me in Arabic when they have Arabic lectures, I'll go. Alhamdulillah, I've had the opportunity, like, I get to teach at the Islamic school on Saturdays, so I get to teach Quran to 5-year-olds, and like religion to, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. So that helps me with my faith, because it teaches me as I'm teaching children. So getting involved has been a big part of me trying to become a better Muslim, because it keeps me aware, and it kind of reaffirms my knowledge as well. So when I first reverted, I couldn't understand the sects of Islam. I'm like, I'm just Muslim, and I'm not going to follow a particular school of thought or path, because I don't get it. Like, what's the point? And I heard about the Ahlul Bayt, and I got like tidbits of information, but it wasn't something that I was really looking for or saying, okay, I'm going to study these individuals now. Last Muharram, like in October, I decided that I'm going to go to the mosque for every day that they have lectures, even if I can't understand. And so I went, and it was such an interesting experience, because, you know, I saw these women, they were dressed in black, and they were mourning, and I wasn't shocked, it was just interesting. And I'm like, okay, like, what is this about? So I went home and I YouTubed it. And I found this play that they put on about Karbala, and I fell in love with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Like, I was just like, what an incredible individual. And that piqued my interest into the Ahlul Bayt. And that was kind of the moment where I'm like, I'm Shia. Like, this is like the path. This is the school of thought that I want to follow, because if I want to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I want to live my religion the way I should be, if I want to, like Imam Hussein alayhi salam, like died and sacrificed to keep Islam preserved, you know? And so if I want to follow if I want to follow true Islam, and if I want to attain this spirituality, then who else better to look at than these incredible individuals who, you know, just had such incredible characteristics that I probably will never attain in my life, but it's something to aspire to, because, you know, in our society, there's not very many people that you can look at and say, you know, they have admirable qualities, and that's something that I want to inherit in myself. But you look at these 5 individuals and you think, subhanAllah, like, if I could have like 1/10 of the patience, 1/10 of the integrity, 1/10 of the love, like, you know, that would be so incredible for me. I think we're doing a good job in letting others know about Islam in terms of creating awareness and answering questions, and, like, you know, we're holding events like World Hijab Day, or like these marches for Imam Hussein alayhi salam or whatever. But I think that as Muslims, it's very important for us to display Islam through our behavior. Unfortunately, I've seen various events and things where tempers and anger rises, and we meet adversity with hostility. And it's unfortunate because we're just fueling that fire. You know, we're being told Muslims are, you know, violent and angry, and they do these things that are really bad, and then instead of trying to have patience and kindness and control our emotions when answering these questions, and, like, I'm not saying I don't, because it's difficult when you feel so in love with your religion to have to defend it against someone who's saying all these horrible things. But I think it's really important for Muslims to really meet these hostile comments with as much calmness and kindness as we can, because we can't just say we're Muslim. We have to behave like Muslims. We have to behave in the way that shows. You can't just say Islam is a religion of peace and then swear at somebody when they say something bad. You know, it doesn't make sense. Instead, it's really difficult. This is where controlling your temper and controlling your anger and, like, your emotions comes into play, because you have to somehow be able to say, you know, show that it's a religion of peace. And I mean, alhamdulillah, like, I've been fortunate, and I wouldn't know how I would react in a situation like that, because it's absolutely different when you're in the moment. But to be aware of our emotions and to try and, you know, show Islam's peaceful, I think is a very important thing to do, especially now with all the crazy things that are happening in our communities. Alhamdulillah, I've had the opportunity to be part of, like, events. Like, we had a hot chocolate event at the university for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, where I had to hand out hot chocolate to people and be like, hey, you want some hot chocolate? Do you know anything about Islam, right? And it was so scary for me because I've never done anything like that before. But at the same time, it was such a blessing. Like, alhamdulillah, like, the people that I was talking to, they were very open. And I was so surprised, and, like, it was just such a humble experience, because people would be like, yeah, what I've seen on TV obviously isn't true. What is it about? So I had the opportunity not only to tell them about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but to also be like, this is what Islam is about. This is what we believe, and this is how it relates to your religion. You know, so people humanize Muslims. We're no longer just women in hijabs or people, like, that they see on the media, but we're human beings who have very similar beliefs to your faith. And then, like, we also did an Imam Hussein march, and I was an outreach person, so I had to walk along the street and, you know, give out roses to people and be like, hi, this is what we're doing, and this is what this is about. And the response was just beautiful. Like, these people would be like, wow, what a brave man, and, like, Islam, of course, like, we don't believe what we see on media. So it was very refreshing to see people say, Yeah, the media filters information, absolutely. And I've done my own research. Like I had one woman that I went up to and was like, do you know anything about Imam Hussein and Karbala? And she's like, yeah, I actually just read about it the other day. And I was like, subhanAllah, really? And so we were able to have this conversation.